The Seoul morning air was crisp, buzzing with the city's usual energy, but Bella felt nothing but nerves. 2 years in Korea had been a battle. Odd jobs, late-night shifts, endless rejections. Today, she finally had a breakthrough. A job at one of the most prestigious companies in the city. Her heart raced as she clutched her portfolio. Changmin, the CEO, was infamous. Cold, perfectionist, feared even by his top executives. Bella had heard the stories, but fear didn't run in her veins. Determination did. She entered the sleek office lobby, her heels clicking on the polished floor. Employees turned to glance at the new hire, an African girl walking into the lion's den with confidence and style. The receptionist smiled politely. "Miss Bella?" "Yes," Bella said, forcing her voice to be steady. "I'm here to meet Mr. Changmin." The elevator ride up felt endless. When the doors opened, Changmin's office came into view. He sat behind a massive desk, posture rigid, eyes sharp, scanning a pile of documents. He didn't look up. "Sick," he said, his voice cold and precise. Bella obeyed, heart hammering. She opened her laptop to present her ideas for the company's upcoming launch. Everything went fine until it didn't. Mid-presentation, her laptop froze. Panic surged as she frantically tried to restart it. The seconds dragged like hours. Changmin's eyes narrowed. "Is this your idea of preparation?" Before she could explain, her phone slipped from her pocket, sliding under his desk. Bending to retrieve it, she accidentally knocked over a cup of coffee. Dark liquid spread across the desk, seeping into important client files. Changmin's expression hardened. "Enough," he said. "You're fired. Effective immediately." Humiliation flooded Bella. After years of struggle, she was out in less than an hour. She tried to defend herself, but words failed. She left the office, head high despite burning shame. Outside, the Seoul streets felt colder than usual. Passers-by ignored her, but Bella couldn't shake the sting of judgmental stares from the employees she passed. And yet, despite the disaster, a strange fire of defiance lingered inside her. Changmin watched silently from his office window, arms crossed. Something about the African girl's poise, even as she ruined his presentation and stormed out, something in the way she refused to crumble, made him pause. He had fired countless employees before, but Bella was different. He didn't understand why she unsettled him, why her presence lingered in his mind. But one thing was clear. He had made a decision he would soon regret. Outside the office, Bella took a deep breath, unaware that her first-day disaster was only the beginning, and that what happened next would change everything. Bella's footsteps echoed along the Seoul streets, her portfolio bag swinging heavily at her side. She replayed the morning's disaster in her mind. The frozen laptop, the spilled coffee, Changmin's piercing eyes as he fired her. Humiliation burned like fire, but she refused to let it break her. She had survived worse. She ducked into a small cafe to escape the stares of office workers heading to lunch. Ordering a coffee to calm her nerves, she barely noticed the sleek black car pulling up outside. But fate had other plans. Changmin stepped out of the car, phone pressed to his ear, expression unreadable. He hadn't expected to see her again so soon. He scanned the street, and there she was, Bella, the girl who had ruined his morning and, inexplicably, refused to crumble under humiliation. A sudden shout pierced the air. A cyclist lost control, swerving toward Bella. Time seemed to slow. Without thinking, Changmin lunged, pulling her out of the path just as the bike smashed into a nearby lamppost. Bella gasped, heart pounding, more from shock than fear. "You're reckless," Changmin said, voice sharp, but beneath it, a strange undercurrent of concern. Bella stared at him, stunned. She had no words, only the lingering hum of adrenaline. As they steadied themselves, a crowd began to form. Employees from his company emerged from nearby buildings, whispering and pointing. Bella felt their judgmental eyes like knives. She wanted to shrink into herself, disappear, but something in Changmin's expression stopped her. He wasn't mocking. He was watching. "Thank you," she managed, her voice steadier than she felt. He didn't respond immediately, simply observing her, analyzing her stance, the way she held herself despite the chaos. Bella sensed his gaze and stiffened, but didn't falter. Then, the cafe barista rushed over, flustered. "Sir, your car, there's a dent." Bella's eyes widened. The sleek black car now bore a long scratch from the cyclist's handlebars. She opened her mouth to apologize, but Chongmin waved her off. "I'll handle it," he said tersely, before turning on his heel and walking away. Bella felt a mix of relief and confusion. Why did this man, who had fired her without hesitation, risk his time, perhaps even his safety, for her? Later that evening, she walked home, replaying the incident. She didn't understand why her first-day disaster had led to this peculiar encounter. But one thing was certain. Chongmin was no longer just the cold CEO in her nightmares. He had a presence that unsettled her in ways she couldn't name. Meanwhile, from the office window, Chongmin watched her retreating figure. He frowned, irritation and intrigue battling inside him. How could one girl cause such chaos and yet stay in his mind? He had thought her mistake was the end of their story. Instead, it was just the beginning. And as the city lights flickered on, Bella's misfortune and his curiosity were about to collide in ways neither of them could predict, setting the stage for a twist that would change everything. Bella's day had started like any other. After the humiliation at Chongmin's company, she had returned to her part-time job at a small cafe, trying to shake off the sting of her first-day disaster. Seoul's streets bustled around her, but her mind was elsewhere, replaying the moment Chongmin had coldly fired her, eyes sharp and unyielding. She had just finished delivering a portfolio to a client nearby when she noticed a sudden commotion near a luxury office building. Papers fluttered onto the street, employees were shouting, and someone was trying to catch a spilled coffee cup. Curiosity mixed with instinct, and without thinking, Bella moved closer. A young employee collided with her, nearly knocking her over. "Please, someone needs help with these files," he gasped. Bella's eyes landed on a stack of slightly damaged documents, familiar in appearance. Her mind raced. She had seen documents like these on her first day, the same type she had accidentally ruined. She didn't pause. "I can help," she said, taking the files from the flustered employee. She began organizing and repairing them with quick, precise movements. People paused to watch, astonished at her speed and confidence. Inside the building, Chongmin had just emerged from the boardroom. His eyes fell on the African girl, the same one he had fired, kneeling on the sidewalk amidst chaos, calmly fixing what no one else could. His frown deepened, a mixture of irritation and intrigue. "What are you doing here?" he demanded, voice cold as ever. Bella didn't flinch. "Helping," she replied simply. "If these files aren't fixed, the client presentation fails." He studied her silently, arms crossed. He didn't ask her to help, he didn't need to. But he let her continue, watching her meticulous movements, noting how efficiently she handled the pressure. Each correction, each decisive action chipped away at his earlier judgment. Minutes later, the client arrived. Thanks to Bella's quick thinking, the presentation went smoothly. Chongmin remained stoic, expression unreadable. But when Bella finished, he allowed himself a brief nod of approval. It was faint, almost imperceptible, but it spoke volumes. As she gathered her things and stepped into the drizzle-soaked streets, Bella felt a surge of quiet triumph. She hadn't been asked to help, and yet she had made a difference on her own terms. Chongmin lingered by the building's entrance, watching her walk away. He had fired her, dismissed her, yet she had acted bravely, independently, and brilliantly. Something about her unsettled him. He had expected chaos. Instead, he found competence and a spark of defiance he couldn't ignore. Neither spoke, but the tension between them was undeniable. This unlikely alliance, born by coincidence and courage, was only the beginning. And deep down, Chongmin knew he wouldn't forget her. The rain came down in sheets that night, Seoul's streets shimmering with neon reflections. Bella pulled her umbrella close, rushing home after a grueling day of deliveries. She should have kept walking, but as she passed the towering glass building of Chong Group, her steps slowed. Behind those windows she had once stood, hopeful, nervous, and eventually humiliated. And yet, just days ago, fate had dragged her back inside, forcing her to clean up a crisis that wasn't hers. Against all logic, she had done it, and Chongmin had noticed. Her phone buzzed. She froze when she saw the name. Changmin. For a moment, her heart stuttered. She almost let it ring out. Almost. But she swiped. Bella. His voice came through, deep, steady, and different. Not cold. Not commanding. Where are you? Her brows furrowed. Why? So you can fire me again over the phone. There was silence on the other end. Then a sigh. Just come to the lobby. She shouldn't. She really shouldn't. And yet her feet were already moving. When she arrived, Changmin was waiting, no umbrella, rain slicking his hair and soaking his perfectly tailored suit. He looked human, tired, vulnerable in a way she had never seen before. You'll catch a cold, she muttered before she could stop herself, shoving her umbrella at him. His lips curved just slightly. You care. Bella's cheeks flamed. Don't flatter yourself. You called me here. Why? Inside the empty lobby, Changmin motioned toward the private elevator. She hesitated but followed. The tension was thick, unspoken words swirling between them. Upstairs, in his office, documents lay scattered across the desk. But this wasn't another crisis. No shouting, no chaos. Just him. And her. I reviewed the work you did last time, he said, standing by the window, back to her. You saved the company more than you realize. Bella blinked, unsure what to say. So what? You want me back? He turned then, eyes locking onto hers. Not cold, not dismissive, searching. I want to understand you. Why you fought so hard for something that wasn't even yours. Her throat tightened. She thought of the night she had cried after being fired, of the shame, of the stubborn pride that wouldn't let her walk away when she saw disaster brewing. Because something shifted in his expression, just a flicker, but enough. The perfectionist CEO who trusted no one was letting down his walls, if only for a heartbeat. Then, thunder cracked outside, rattling the glass. Bella jumped, instinctively clutching her bag to her chest. Changmin stepped closer, too close, his scent mixing with the sharp tang of rain still clinging to him. You're reckless, he said softly, eyes locked on hers. And yet, I can't ignore you. Bella's heart pounded. The storm outside raged, but the storm between them was louder. She should run. She should push him away. But for the first time, she didn't want to. The following morning, Bella tied her apron at the little cafe where she had quickly found work. The pay was small, but at least it kept her busy and away from thoughts of her disastrous first day at Chang Corporation. She hummed softly as she wiped tables, determined to hold her head high. But fate was cruel. When the glass doors swung open, in walked Changmin himself, tall and immaculate in a charcoal suit. He hadn't planned to come, yet here he was, pulled by something he couldn't explain. His steps faltered the moment his eyes found her behind the counter. She froze too, the tray trembling slightly in her hands. For a long second, neither moved. Then Chang cleared his throat and ordered coffee, though his mind wasn't on it. Every glance he stole at her tightened the knot of regret inside him. What was I thinking? I threw her away like she was nothing. Yet she shines here, working hard, smiling even after what I did to her. His chest tightened as another thought struck him, heavier than the last. She was the first person who dared to stand up to me, the first who worked beside me without fear. She saw through me when others only bowed their heads, and I let her go. I pushed her out as if she didn't matter. Watching her smile at another customer, a sharp ache bloomed in his chest. She could have been at my side, growing, shining brighter than anyone in my company. Instead, I forced her into this. Bella forced herself to act professional, but her chest burned. She wanted to ignore him, to pretend he was just another customer. Yet when he rose to leave, his hand lingered on the counter, and his voice dropped lower. Bella, about that day, he began, his eyes softer than she had ever seen. I was wrong. Her heart skipped. She had dreamed of hearing those words, but now that they came, her throat locked. Sir, please, she said, struggling to steady her tone. Let's not talk about it here. His jaw tightened, and for a moment his cold mask slipped. Regret poured through in his gaze, not just for firing her, but for pushing her away when all he wanted was to be closer. As he walked out into the street, Bella leaned on the counter, her pulse racing. He regretted it. She could see it. But what did that mean for them now? The next evening, Bella was closing up the cafe when the bell above the door jingled. She looked up and her breath caught. Chang Min stood there, still in his tailored suit, his tie loosened, as if he had come straight from the office. His eyes held that same regret she had seen the day before, but now there was something more: determination. "Bella," he said, his deep voice softer than she'd ever heard. She hesitated. "Mr. Chang, we're closed." "I don't care." He stepped closer, his gaze never leaving hers. "I can't leave things like this." Bella swallowed, her hands clutching the edge of the counter. "You already made it clear how you see me. Why are you here now?" His chest rose sharply, his words tumbling out. "She was the first person who dared to stand up to me, the first who worked beside me without fear. She saw through me when others only bowed their heads. And I let her go. I pushed her out as if she didn't matter." Watching her, his voice broke slightly. "But you do matter. More than you should. More than I can ignore." Bella's heart pounded. Chang Min. He stepped right up to the counter now, close enough that she could feel the warmth radiating off him. His hand trembled as he reached across, gently covering hers. "Stay by my side," he whispered. "Not as my employee, as someone I can't stop thinking about." Her breath hitched, torn between anger and the storm of feelings rushing through her. For weeks she had hated him, but now, looking into his raw, unguarded eyes, she couldn't deny the truth in her own heart. Slowly, Bella let go of the counter and placed her free hand over his. "You broke me once, Chang Min," she said, her voice barely audible. "Don't ever do it again." And before either could think twice, he leaned in. Their lips met in a soft, hesitant kiss that deepened with every second, shattering the walls both had built. For the first time, the cold CEO and the girl he cast aside let their hearts speak freely. Bella stood frozen, her breath shallow, as Chang Min's eyes searched hers. For a moment, the cafe noise faded into silence, leaving only the thunderous beat of her heart. "I don't deserve your forgiveness," he whispered, his voice cracking. "But I can't keep pretending I don't need you in my life." Her lips trembled. The old pain rose up, reminding her of the humiliation, the loneliness after he fired her. But there was something else now, something that had grown through the rain, through every stolen glance, through every moment she wished she didn't care. Slowly, Bella reached for his hand. "You hurt me, Chang Min. You made me feel small." Her voice shook, but her grip was firm. "But you also challenged me. You believed in me before I believed in myself. And whether I like it or not, I can't erase you from my heart." His throat tightened. For the first time, the arrogant CEO looked utterly human, vulnerable. He covered her hand with both of his, as if afraid she would vanish. "Give me a chance," he pleaded. "Not as your boss. Not as someone who thinks he's above you. Just as a man who fell in love with the one woman who saw him for who he truly is." Tears welled in her eyes. For a heartbeat, she hesitated. Then she smiled through them, soft but certain. "Don't make me regret this." Relief broke across his face like dawn. He pulled her into his arms, holding her as if the world outside no longer mattered. The cafe around them erupted in quiet whispers and curious stares, but neither noticed. At last, Bella leaned into him, her voice muffled against his chest. "I hated you once. And now?" he asked, afraid of her answer. She tilted her head back, eyes shining. "Now, I think I'm falling in love with you." For the first time in years, Chang Min laughed, not the cold, sharp laugh of a CEO, but a real, unguarded one. He kissed her again, and in that moment, all his regrets melted into something new, a promise never to let her go again. Months later, the office felt different. Sunlight spilled across the tall glass windows, and Bella sat confidently at her new desk outside Chang Min's office, not as a mere secretary, but as his executive assistant, a role that placed her at the center of every major decision. She coordinated meetings, negotiated with investors, and wasn't afraid to speak her mind when strategies were being discussed. Her growth hadn't gone unnoticed. People in the company had begun to respect her as someone far more than just the boss's assistant. That evening, after a long day of back-to-back meetings, Chang Min stepped out of his office, loosening his tie. His eyes softened when they found her still working. You handled the investors better than I did today, he said, a smile tugging at his lips. Bella looked up, teasing. Are you saying I should take your job? He chuckled, shaking his head. Not yet. But one day I wouldn't be surprised. She rolled her eyes, gathering her things, when he stepped closer. His hand brushed hers, lingering for a heartbeat. Then gently he cupped her cheek, leaning in to press a soft, lingering kiss on her forehead. Her breath caught, but she didn't pull away. She smiled, warmth spreading through her chest. Hand in hand, they walked out into the glowing soul night. No longer boss and employee, but something more. Something equal. Something real. The city lights shimmered around them, and for the first time, both felt completely at home, together. If you were Bella, would you agree to date Chong Min after all that happened? Or would you still turn him down? Tell me your answer in the comments. I can't wait to see what you think. And if you enjoyed this story, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more K-drama vibes like this. Thanks for watching.